Hey, Greenlight Ecosystem crew. It is your boy, Chris Anthony Hamilton, your creative career coach here. And today we're going to talk about wins. So, yesterday we talked about some of the losses that you have to deal with when facing rejection. And today I'm very excited to report that I am booked and busy this coming February as a result of a job that came through a previous client. So, a returning a returning customer, as it were, which is always a great sign. And this is an agency that I worked with recently. The ultimate client, the brand, is a new one for me, so that's very exciting. They are a big name, one of the biggest that I've worked with. So it's going to be a fun project, and I'm looking forward to it. Also because the subject matter is ultimately pretty close to my heart because it's about first jobs. So it's about the kind of jobs that can sometimes be seen as a survival job, but then it turns into potentially the opportunity to learn from the ground up about how to work in a professional setting, about how to cultivate those kind of basic fundamental skills around business and dealing with customers. And my first job experience was at Walmart many years ago and in high school, actually, my senior year of high school back in Massachusetts. And I learned a lot from that opportunity. It really did kind of forge the way for me, understanding how to deal with people, how to communicate, how to deal with management, and just how to be a professional. And of course, for me personally, it inspired ultimately my passion for filmmaking by allowing me to use my employee discount at the time, working in the electronics department, to buy my very first DVD player. Now, this is back in 2000, 2001, when DVDs just kind of came on the scene after having amassed a collection of films on VHS over the years and watching movies on HBO and discovering my passion for the language of film. But it was through DVDs and watching the director's commentary where I really discovered the job, the role of the director, and the rest of the department heads, and how those folks communicate with one another in order to establish and communicate the vision of the film. So I owe a lot to my first job. So this new directing opportunity for me is pretty exciting because it's an opportunity to talk to real people about their first job experience and capture that on camera. Hopefully, be translated in such a way that it is endearing and engaging. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, we talked yesterday about the losses and how important it is to acknowledge them and learn from them. So it feels like a pretty exciting turn to the very next day have a win to report. And that's how it goes. Ups and downs, you know. In fact, the same time this morning, having found out about this win, found out that another pitch that I proposed did not get chosen. So it's always a little bit of a roller coaster in this creative endeavor from the directing point of view. You pitch yourself as somebody who hopefully has the skills and the capabilities, the sensibilities to bring a vision to life. If you're looking to take a job working for a client, and again, you never know what's going to be the one thing that is going to put you over the top. In this particular case, for this most recent job, the uh, the producer at the production company, the creative director there that I've worked with a number of times now, considering that we knew that it was still competitive between myself, our production company, and another director or another production company, we decided that it was a good idea to put out a statement of interest, just to send along a message, just speaking to my particular connection to this material, to this concept. So I wrote a short message just describing why I thought that this was a good match for me personally because of my background, having worked in retail and one of those kind of typical first job scenarios, and how it did actually spark my passion for what I'm doing today, which is not connected to that initial first job. So who knows if that was the thing that put us over the edge or not, but you just never know what's going to help. So we didn't have to submit a pitch deck for this particular or a director's treatment for this particular project. So we thought that this statement of interest could be the thing that could at least give us a little bit of an edge. So maybe it did. In any case, we got the gig. So that's very, very exciting. And again, this is great practice for figuring out what could be those extra elements that you can attach to a project that makes it personal, that creates a connection between you and the brand or the client or the agency that you're dealing with. What gives them the opportunity to get to know you a little bit more and get to know what it's going to be like to work with you, for them to imagine what you can bring to it. As part of that statement of interest, I also included a couple of ideas that we hadn't initially talked about in our first call about what I might do to elevate this particular project be above and beyond the brief that they shared with us, because the concept is very straightforward. So figuring out ways to add a little bit of my own personal signature to it, I think, is one of those things that probably made a difference in the end, in order for them to decide, okay, well, he's got some ideas that it could really elevate this and take it to the next level and make it more engaging for audiences and ultimately their customers, the brand's customers. So hopefully that was one of those things that kind of put us over the top. So it's good practice to kind of figure out, okay, if this were my project and I was just doing it for myself without a brand looking over my shoulder, if this was just something that came out of my own mind, what would I do to make it feel more like me? What would I do to make it feel like something that I would want to watch, something that would make me, watch from beginning to end and stay engaged? And it's those little elements that when you separate yourself, when you divorce the project from the brand or the client, then it's usually those things that make the difference in terms of making it feel unique, making it feel special, making it feel like something that is going to be compelling to watch for the average viewer. Imagine that you're doing it just for you, and all kinds of things start to open up without the pressure of imagining that there's, a budget behind it and that you have a responsibility to anybody other than yourself. And I think that that's a great exercise. And it comes in all different shapes and forms. And I think it's important because you want that client to know that you are invested. You want them to know that you are going to make it yours, and that's what's going to make it special. That's what's going to make it stand out. Because we're all consuming so much content all the time, especially from people who are trying to sell you something. And the most important thing to them is for whatever content they're putting out, whether it's a commercial, something that's a branded content piece, they want it to be something that people will stop and watch. That's the number one most important thing. If people are not going to stop and watch, then that money was wasted. And no client, no brand, no one wants to waste money. So it's important to make it feel as though it's going to be worth their investment, both in you and in the overall concept. So that's your real job, is to make that pitch, make that audition, to make it the actual job, to make it the thing that you put all of yourself into, to convince whomever's on the other end that you are the one person who is going to take their concept to the next level and make it feel unique. So yeah, there are a few things coming up for me in February, now that the year is really underway. So including this new job with this new client. It's always exciting to have a new client, especially in that kind of Fortune 500 lane to my canon of brands that I've worked with. And I'll also be in February doing an artist residency, actually, with the Frederica Academy on the east coast of Georgia near Savannah on St. Simon's Island. So it's going to be another exciting opportunity to get to infuse a little bit of that mentoring and teaching aspect into what I try to do with younger folks. This is an academy that has a real focus on the arts, so it's exciting to be able to kind of bring what I do to kids who have never necessarily engaged with filmmakers before. This academy, they have done these artist residencies in the past. They've worked with musicians and other types of artists. This is the first time working with a filmmaker. So I'm excited to kind of open a new door and a new chapter for these folks and kind of give them a taste of what life is like as a filmmaker. So whether it's, on the commercial side or on the personal passion project side and the narrative side. So yeah, that'll be great. I'm really looking forward to that as well. Um, yeah, this start to the year always feels a little unnerving at the very, very beginning because December, January is a slow time, so it takes a while for things to pick up sometimes. And you just got to put that work in during that time. That's the time where you want to be prepping, where you want to be positioning yourself to be ready for those opportunities. Because as we talked about yesterday, luck is preparation meeting opportunities. So when those opportunities come knocking, you want to have everything in order. So you should be working on your reel, you should be working on putting yourself out there on the distribution side, making sure that people knew what you got up to and what your wins were for last year, the year-end wrap-up, and talking about what your goals are for this coming year. Put out into the universe what you want to be achieving, what your ambitions are for this next year. Let people know so that when they have those opportunities, they will match them up with you because you've stated clearly what you want to be accomplishing in this next year. So it's all about kind of diverting energy from one thing to another. Start working on those budgeting goals for the end of the year. Obviously, tax time is coming up, so making sure that your finances are all in order from last year, getting that tax prep done. This is the sweet spot for that type of stuff. So it's really important to look through those four engines of the Greenlight ecosystem and figure out which one is the best to divert your energy to right now. Do you want to start planning for those personal projects? Do you want to make a list of the inspirations that you want to try to gather for this coming year that will help to make your personal vision that much more unique and concentrated? It's all about goal setting and then making sure that you're checking those boxes as you go through to figure out what's going to be those game changers for you this coming year. So let me know in the comments what your latest win was since we talked about losses and rejection yesterday. What is your celebration treat? What is the thing that you do to give yourself a little pat on the back and to acknowledge those wins when they happen? Don't forget to follow and subscribe on Spotify and YouTube. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, let's get to work.